Hey everyone, Johnny here. Don't speak news. News you're not supposed to speak about. And we've got some of that pulled up right here, right now. This is from Exposing the Noahide Laws and Defending the Faith, written by Yana Ben-Nun, wife of Steve Ben-Nun from Israeli News Live. So this says here that this rabbi says that the assassination of Charlie Kirk has become a lesson in idolatry. Wow. So let's just get into this like we always do. This is Rabbi Mizrachi, and he says Charlie Kirk's life was taken because of idol worship. In other words, worshiping Jesus Christ, which they consider idol worship, with their Noahide laws. So here we go. Rabbi Yosef Mizrachi's remarks about Charlie Kirk, delivered in a lecture framed around weekly Torah portion in Judaism, and the severity of certain sins, reveal a troubling intersection of Jewish theology and public ethics. In his sermon, Mizrachi acknowledges that Kirk supported Israel and the Jewish people and influenced millions with what he calls good values. Yet he simultaneously classifies Christianity as idolatry because Christians worship Jesus and therefore describes Christians as idol worshippers. He goes further by asserting that leading people to Christianity is leading them into idolatry, which in Judaism is a sin of extreme severity, even claiming it was worse than murder. Yes, and the Noahide laws say that decapitation is the remedy for such crimes, crimes in their eyes. From the lecture, Mizrachi characterizes Christianity and Christians in distinct terms. He says Christianity is idol worship. That's pretty point blank and clear, guys. He affected the lives of millions of people to be faithful Christians, which is idol worship. From all idol worshippers, Charlie, was chosen to die first. Wow. Just the hubris with these people. He mocks core Christian beliefs about Jesus. He said that they believe he would come to save the world when he couldn't save himself from a bunch of Roman soldiers. Wow. That's exactly what they said back then. And it's written in the scriptures. Wow. Let him save himself. Let him come down off the cross and save himself, they said. He labels Charlie Kirk's influence negatively, despite acknowledging his support for Israel. He was a preacher of Christianity, the rabbi said. He affected the lives of millions of people to be faithful Christians, which is idol worship. He also insults Jews who admire Charlie Kirk. Jewish fans are either stupid or ignorant, so easy to manipulate them. He frames idolatry as worse than murder. Idol worshiping, he says, is worse than a murder. And he applies this theological framework to Charlie Kirk. So he was an idol worshiper, but is still a billion times better than other idol worshippers. So he wasn't so bad probably because he supported Israel. The ethical problem here goes far beyond religious disagreement between Christianity and Judaism. The line is crossed when those differences are used to suggest that a murder victim somehow deserved their fate because of their Christian beliefs. Saying that a Christian's supposed idolatry brings death or implying that someone's faith is connected to their killing diminishes the value of human life. It shifts attention away from the evil of murder and places it on the victim's religion. That kind of rhetoric does not merely express doctrine. It edges into justifying violence against a Christian because of what they believe. Indeed, it does. The double standard this reveals is hard to ignore. If a Christian pastor stood at a pulpit and said that a murdered Jewish person died because they rejected Jesus, deserving divine punishment, the response would be immediate and fierce. Well, do you think? Media outlets would condemn it. They'd be outraged. Advocacy groups would call it anti-Semitic. Public officials would denounce it as dangerous and possibly criminal. Indeed, they would. Yet when similar language is used about Christians, it often passes with little scrutiny. That silence sends a troubling message that Jewish victims are entitled to compassion, while Christian victims are reduced to theological talking points. The question is whether Mizrachi, in his rhetoric, is following a legitimate Judaic doctrine. The answer is yes. He's drawing from strands of traditional Jewish law. Yes, he is. Legal rabbinic sources, most notably Maimonides and the Rabbi, address Christianity in legal terms. In his legal code, he classified Christian worship as idolatry from a Jewish legal perspective. There it is. The Christians are idolaters and Sunday is their religious festival, it says. Therefore, it is prohibited to engage in commercial transactions with them in Israel on Thursday and Friday of each week. And they're saying one not need say itself, which is prohibited everywhere. And that is our practice regarding any of their holidays. In conclusion, it's important to note that Rabbi Mizrachi also teaches that Noahide laws as they apply to Gentiles. Within interpretations of these laws, idolatry is considered a capital offense. Mizrachi's conclusions do not arise merely from his personal opinion, but from his understanding of the Noahide laws. Noahide legal code describes capital punishment as execution by the sword. In Talmudic terminology, by the sword refers to decapitation, one of the four execution methods discussed in rabbinic law. And so I'll let you read the rest on your own. I think you get the point. That was about all of it anyway. Wow. So if you're a Christian, you deserve death, is what they're saying, because you're an idol worshiper. That's essentially what he's saying here. And then we have this story about Admiral Huckabee and his comments that he made to Tucker Carlson in that interview last weekend, where that was aired last week. So let's scroll back up here a little bit. I'm over here on Insight to Insight on Substack. Going native. Huckabee professes support for the greater Israel apocalypse. It's absolutely insane that a U.S. diplomat would say this out loud, and it undoes 50 years of careful U.S. diplomacy. Indeed, it does. So Huckabee just said the quiet part out loud is essentially what's going on here. I'm scrolling back down to where I had it highlighted because this is quite a lengthy article, but it's very good. I recommend you read the whole thing. So let me say this with all seriousness. I'm going to start up here, and not a bit of hyperbole. The statement from Ambassador Huckabee was the single most patently insane, dangerously irresponsible declaration that I've ever heard from an American official, at least in the context of foreign relations. It takes the cake. A distant second might be Kamala Harris attending the Munich Security Conference in 2022 and announcing that Ukraine would join NATO, a repeal of promises made repeatedly ever since U.S. Secretary of State James Baker gave the assurance to end the Cold War, causing Russia to invade Ukraine only 5 days later and leading thus far to 1.5 million casualties on both sides. Potentially, Huckabee's claim could cause far, far more. Huckabee went on to argue that's not what we're talking about. He alleged that no one from Israel wants that, meaning all the land of Greater Israel. And I'm here to tell you that Huckabee is a liar. There are many in Israel who want that, absolutely. And they've talked about that since the inception of Israel. And they're taking over Israel one election at a time. Yes, they are. Diplomatic house of cards. Before I get into the Greater Israel plan, which is what this article is mostly about, I want to explain the diplomatic situation in the Middle East. Here is something that the average Fox News viewer, nodding along to Huckabee's greatest Israel theology, does not understand and has apparently never been required to think about for more than 5 consecutive minutes. American foreign policy in the Middle East does not run on military power alone. It runs on trust. Specifically, it runs on the carefully maintained, perpetually fragile, enormously expensive fiction that the United States is an honest power broker. That when we sit down with Arab heads of state and tell them we want stability and peace in the region, that we mean it, and that our word is worth something. That trust is the entire architecture. Remove it, and the whole structure fails. Indeed, it does. I'm going to stop there because, like I said, this is quite lengthy. I wanted you to get the point that when Huckabee said it would be fine if they took it all, that was a huge, huge announcement. And like the author says here, that statement from Ambassador Huckabee was the single most patently insane, dangerously irresponsible declaration that I've ever heard from an American official. Because now, as you're about to see, our allies aren't going to take us seriously at all anymore in the Middle East. From the BBC, U.S. Ambassador's Israel comments condemned by Arab and Muslim nations. So all the condemnations now, as we figured would happen, are happening. Arab and Muslim governments have condemned remarks made by the U.S. Ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, who suggested Israel would be justified in taking over a vast stretch of the Middle East on biblical grounds. In an interview with conservative U.S. commentator Tucker Carlson, Huckabee was asked whether Israel had a right to an area to which the host said was, according to the Bible, essentially the entire Middle East. The ambassador said it would be fine if it took it all, but he added that Israel was not seeking to do so, and rather it is asking to at least take the land they now occupy and protect its people. In a joint statement, more than a dozen governments, including Jordan, Egypt, and the United Arab Emirates called the comments dangerous and inflammatory and a threat to efforts to end the war in Gaza. In the interview released on Friday, Carlson pressed the ambassador on his interpretation of a Bible verse which the host claimed suggested Israel had a right to the land between the River Nile in Egypt and the Euphrates in Syria and Iraq. Huckabee said it would be a big piece of land, but stressed that I don't think that's what we're talking about here today. So, I'll let you read the rest on your own, but I think you get the idea. But, wow, unbelievable. It said the remarks violated international law and directly contradicted U.S. President Trump's plan to end the war in Gaza, including efforts to create a political horizon for a comprehensive settlement that ensures the Palestinian people have their own independent state. Well, that's not going to happen if Greater Israel happens. So what? A hornet's nest. He stirred up by saying that. It'd be fine if they take it all. A little bit of going native, would you say, which is the title of this article? Huckabee professes support for the Greater Israel apocalypse. Yeah, that's going native, all right. That's completely going native. Now, the State Department, for their part, have had to try and walk back these comments, saying that, oh, it's been taken out of context, and that's not really what he meant, and blah, blah, blah. The usual walking back denials that they do. But there's no denying what he said. He said it would be fine for them to take it all. And it just goes to show you who's really running America. It's not you or I. It's not regular Americans who have representatives in Congress and the Senate. No. It's all about Israel now. And you don't get to stay in office if you don't absolutely sign a document that says you support Israel no matter what. Go ask Cynthia McKinney, former congresswoman. She wouldn't sign it, and she's no longer in office because she couldn't get any financial support for her campaign, her re-election campaign. Imagine that. So there it is, guys. Lay it out for you. Wow. And I know there's a lot more going on than just this. There's still the war in Iran to talk about and things of that nature. But you know what? A lot of other channels are already talking about it. And I'm here to bring you the news that they're not speaking about. And that's what this was. So that'll be it for now. Don't forget, don'tspeaknews.com. It's home base for everything that we do. I put a lot of stuff here, including stories like this one, that we can't speak about anywhere else. And so put up a new article this morning about tech firms sparring with the Pentagon over an unchecked use of its AI in warfare and surveillance. So that's all right here. A guest post by Drago Brosnik from Global Research again. Very well written article. Talks about how the Pentagon wants complete unfettered use of this company's AI system called Anthropic. And so this Anthropic is saying, no, we don't want our AI used for warfare or domestic surveillance. And they're doing it anyway. So there's going to be a big legal battle over that, apparently. And so I also put this up yesterday, Epstein, a couple days ago, actually, showing obsession with DNA, transhumanism, nanotech, nanorobots. It's all in the files. So all kinds of stories like this and many more like it here at don'tspeaknews.com. If you want to subscribe, there's a box to do so at the end of every article. There's also one right up here under this tab. Just type in your email, click on subscribe, and you're in. Don't Speak News at Proton Mail is how you get in touch. And if you'd like to support our channel, we're nearing the end of the month, and it's a short month this month, so channel support is required to keep going. And without you guys, we wouldn't be here. So you can click on the channel support tab, and all the links to support us are there. And then last but not least, places to find us: Rumble, BitChute, Telegram, YouTube. All those links are right underneath this tab. And there we go. That is it for now. God bless. Take care. Johnny Storm. Don't Speak News.